So there's been a little bit of chatter online about some new mortgage changes that are coming. And who would have thunk that some realtors are up in arms about this, and some mortgage brokers. And the pitch anytime this stuff happens seems to be the same, that everybody is telling their clients, get in now, get qualified now, because as of January, affordability is going to go up. And as realtors, it's nice to have that preliminary banter. I like the fact that we're posting up the information to educate people. But you really need to think of your business over the long term. Because if all of a sudden, clients, if you're planning for what's happening between the next 2 months, which would be November and December, then what are you going to do in your business, and what are you going to tell clients come January? What's your pitch to give them some positive information?
And there's so many different ways to approach that. I think that one way to pitch this information is, congratulations, like in 5 years from now, you're going to be so happy that you live in a home that you can actually afford. What great news is that? Like, we're preparing for your future success of something happening where you're not going to be able to live here any longer and you have to move out. Like, this is great news. Yeah,
so I want to pick on a few things here. So number one, obviously these changes are in response to markets like Toronto, Vancouver. This is not, the problem is not in Calgary right now. So Calgary is definitely going to be on the receiving end of this news. And people, very naturally, will try to spend as much as they possibly can. What am I qualified for? Therefore, what do I need to spend? Some of these charts that I've seen posted online, and some of our realtors have done it, and I love what you guys are doing for educating clients, but the concepts are a bit laughable. And what I mean by that is, imagine somebody who makes $100,000 a year, that's the family income, and they have 2 car payments totaling $950, and they can qualify right this second for $700,000. And at the end of next year, or at the start of January, when the changes come into effect, they'll be able to qualify for something like $570,000. And so they're going to lose $130,000 in buying power. I don't know if you've tried raising a family on $100,000 a year with 2 car payments, and that's okay as long as you don't live in a $700,000 house, which comes with all of the expenses and stuff with that. Like, that's insanity.
Well, you know what?
Insanity.
And there could be some moments where, like, right now it's okay, but God forbid somebody gets sick or something happens to one of your kids, or you have to take right? Like, it's just like there's absolutely no leeway for anything to happen in your life where you could possibly still be safe in that situation.
You'll be house poor forever. And then suddenly interest rates tick up on you and you're in a lot of trouble. And this is what the government is planning on doing. So realtors are dying, saying just like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. And I'm saying that in the short term, we're going to feel this a little bit. We're going to feel this. But over the long term, we're not going to have a situation like 2007 and 2006 where we're all qualifying on 40-year mortgages, literally 40-year mortgages at low interest rates and to get ourselves into expensive homes. And just to build on that for a second, look what happened in 2008 and 2009. So do you want conditions to persist where people can be over, spending too much and then can't afford things over the long term? And we don't want that crash. You guys don't want the adjustment and you don't want the crash. Well, you can't always have your cake and eat it too.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I might be, but I know that from what I've seen people talking about, it's a lot towards buyers. I would almost be a little bit more concerned about your seller clients who are thinking of selling in the next 6 to 8, 12 months, who are in that, $650,000 to $800,000 range, because now the demographic of people that are going to be purchasing that property, that's really decreased. I mean, I would almost rather, to them being like, let's get your house on the market in the next 3 months so that people can still afford to buy it. Like, I would start thinking about that group as being the one that might be a little bit more.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is going to affect sellers who are currently on the market. Let's talk a little bit about some solutions here and just like overall about what's happening out there. So right now, your client has to make a decision, and they may be sitting on the fence saying, hey, should I hold off? Should I hold off and wait because prices might come down? Well, here's the other thing. We do expect interest rates to continue to go up. So remember that your qualifying power is going down a bit, but the amount of money you're actually paying out of your pocket isn't changing. So the interest rate that you're paying once you get your mortgage is still that 3%, that low rate. You're not paying that 5% that you might have qualified at. You're paying that low 3, high 2s. So which means that if interest rates go up and you choose to sit on the fence and interest rates go up here, you're actually paying more money out of your pockets because you chose to wait. So you're making a gamble. You're making a gamble on whether property values will come down enough to save yourself the amount of money I'm going to pay over the 5 years of my mortgage. Let's couple that a little bit with some other news. So Todd Hirsch, ATB Financial economist and the Conference Board of Canada says, and even the economists that we talked to, I forget who they were with, we were with McDonald Realty, says that Alberta is going to lead the country in economics next year because of oil, bringing back some jobs. The jobs are not at the same salaries they were before, but we're expecting some job growth.
What was the number of job vacancies that we currently have in Alberta right now?
I don't recall the numbers off the top of my head.
It's a lot.
But anyways, the point is that, exactly. We've seen job vacancies. They're starting to be filled. So are these offset factors going to mitigate any price drop? And if there is a price drop, and maybe instead of having 2 or 3% growth, we might be flat next year, or maybe we're down 0.5%. But now we ask the question is that if interest rates go up, are you going to, over the 5 years, pay more than you would have gotten from a life drop? And from a price drop. And then you have to say, well, the net effect might be, I might save myself $5,000. Great. So why don't you put your life and all your purchasing decisions, why don't you tell your kids they can't go to the right school, or that you can't live downtown to be closer to work, to save $5,000 over the next 3 years? That's a good life decision.
Yeah.
So it's like, you really need to take each person's individual circumstances and educate them on what is happening. They can wait. They might be right. Prices might come down a bit. But what are you giving up as a part of it? And the other thing is that as soon as January 1 hits, this is the new reality. This is a gravity problem. And we're reading this book called Life by Design, designing your life. And you need to not be worried about gravity problems. You just need to adjust. You can't fix gravity. It happens. When I fall down, I hurt myself because of gravity. These mortgage rules are coming. You can't change them right now, so you better start adjusting. You're in the business. You're committed to this thing, so you better start adjusting. And you better plan what you're going to tell your clients come January 1st. And I'm educating you, or I want you guys to educate your clients and let them know that, you know what, people are still buying or selling houses. People still get married. They still get divorced. They still have babies. That's what drives real estate sales.
Well, and there's also, and the other thing too that's important is there's a lot of articles being shared that are national media posts. And obviously, one of the things that you said earlier is that this affects Toronto and Vancouver a lot more. In Toronto, housing prices in the last 6 weeks have dropped $100,000 instantly in 6 weeks. So this is it's happening, and it's going to keep happening. That's not happening here, and housing prices aren't expected to drop next year. In fact, one of the things that I did read is that that middle income family 450 to 600 price range, we always have a decent amount of inventory on that, but as that's going to become more competitive because less people are buying the 650, 700, 750s, it's actually speculated that that price range is going to go up a little bit. So the average family might do that because there's going to be a bit more competition because less people are going to be in that upper price bracket doing. So I don't know why you'd wait. But the whole price range is going to go down. It's well, depending on what type of home you're looking to buy, but in that normal single family home in Calgary, that's not going to go down.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. We're going to have more information on this as it gets a little bit closer. We're going to, I would be paying very close attention because I guarantee your clients are paying close attention. But make sure you guys, have a very educated answer to this, not that the sky is going to fall, because the evidence is showing that's not necessarily going to be the case. And let's say it does. Let's say it's the worst possible case scenario. Well, what are you going to do in your business in terms of tightening up your expenses, ramping up your lead generation aspects to get out there and find the people who are in a position that still need to move? Because that's, again, those lifestyle changes. Okay, we got to get through these numbers. We'll have more on that. Let's take a look at the actual numbers for the market. The price of oil is rallying due to lower U.S. rig counts as well as Iraq. There's some supply concerns coming out of there, but it's up to $52.05. Canadian dollar still staying pretty flat, down slightly to 79.2 cents U.S.
Listings down just slightly from last week, and this will be a trend we obviously see going into Christmas. Calgary's at 7,000 and Red Deer at 703.
As for the month of inventory, we're seeing, again, in relating to the slippage in the listings there, we're seeing numbers improving, a little bit green across the board, fairly flat though overall, 4.6, which is sitting in a buyer's market just slightly overall. Single-family homes have dipped back into a balanced market at 3.77. Again, that's pretty flat from last week. And condos sitting at 6.21, obviously in that buyer's market, but there is an improvement since last week, so it's good to see things moving in the right direction.
In our surrounding areas, Okotoks is at 5.09, Airdrie 5.2, Cochrane 4.85, Strathmore 7.95, Sundre 24.5, Chestermere 8.9, and Red Deer at 5.17. Our benchmark price at $441,500.
Great. That was a long explanation of how's the market. Obviously, talk about these mortgage rule changes. You know, we're going to do more segments on this coming up. That could probably be a segment in and of itself. But let's talk a little bit about what's happening inside the company.